Welcome to another episode of the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Today, joining me is Jens Christian Moller. He is the managing director of Caviart, a producer of seaweed caviar. Stick around. I'd like to introduce him to you. Hi, Jens. How are you?
Hi, Nancy. I'm good. And you?
I'm doing good. How are things in Denmark?
Cold and dark, but I think that's most of the northern hemisphere. But it's cold and dark and affected by COVID, but that's all over the world. So,
are you just like us?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Jens, you have a very interesting company, and before I get to that, I want to ask you: how did you come to veganism?
It happened gradually over some years, I think 4 or 5 years, and it's working with a vegan company, producing a vegan products, having collaborators that are vegan and sharing stories and seeing the world, how it develops. Then I think most people that are in that industry, if they don't start out vegan, then I think they end up there. So I think it will happen for people that produces vegan products.
And we need to see more and more companies do that because that's where the world is going. So with that said, I want to ask you, because it's got a very great it has a great name, Caviart. Can you tell me about that, your company, please?
Yeah, the company was started by my father 25 years ago, and he came up with that name. So there was multiple meanings of the name. It was an art of caviar, or it was art as in something artistic. And it actually did cause us a few problems because I believe in France you don't pronunciate the T if it's at the end. So the authorities didn't think it was a legal name, but we did win. So it's a legal name in I think all over the world now. So yeah, it's a good name, and people understand that it's not caviar, but it's some kind of an alternative to it. So it's a good name for the product.
So you said your dad started the company, and it is and your company produces caviar made from seaweed.
Yeah, so we produce alternatives to different types of caviar out of seaweed. So it's kind of a sustainable alternative to roe from different kinds of fish. It's not the best time to harvest fish when they have the next generation ready. So we want to make a real impact for the UN goal 14, life below water, because we know that the seas are depleting with the number of fish. So something needs to be done, and our products are making an impact in that area.
And tell me a little bit about the process.
Yeah, I should also perhaps mention a bit about the story, how it was invented, because it was actually by accident by my father. He's a microbiologist and wanted to make some experiments for us kids down in the basement. And sometimes it went really well, and sometimes it went horribly wrong. And this was one of the cases where it went, I won't say horribly, but went wrong. So he was trying to change the water, the color of some water from blue to red by having this filter of seaweed that should change the color. And instead of changing the color, out came small pearls. And this was back in the start 90s. And back then, people in Denmark didn't eat seaweed at all. It was not something that was eaten. So it actually took a few years to understand if seaweed was actually eatable and if the product was as it should be, and how to recreate the accident, because next time he did it, it actually succeeded. So he didn't know what he did wrong for the first half year, I think. But he kept pushing to see if he could solve the issue. So that was how the product was invented. The process is that we're based in Denmark. We produce a product in Denmark. We get the seaweed from France to Denmark, dried in France into Denmark, and then we process it here to the pearls or caviar. And the reason why we get the seaweed from France is they have a very good system for harvesting the seaweed sustainably. So they fly over with drones and see what areas are there a lot of seaweed this year. We can harvest here this year and another area the next year. to have a very good process for the environment, which is important for us, of course. So that's a brief description of the process, but we keep it quite secret because we have had 2 cases of industrial espionage. So we keep it as secret as possible.
Right. I understand that. I just meant a quick overview like you have given us, because like you said, you don't want somebody to steal your product.
Exactly.
But I commend your company and your dad, because I guess you said that this has been going on for some years. What was it, 20?
Yeah. 25.
25
actually.
years. So just a man ahead of his time, trying to help the world with sustainability issues, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think that, in making the difference, and already back then there were talks about depleting oceans, but back then people didn't care about sustainability or veganism or the impact of what we did. Very few people did, at least. So we needed to create a product that was cheaper than raw, and also that was more user friendly, so people didn't feel that they were missing out on anything by switching to our product. So actually, I think in Denmark, if the last numbers are correct, almost 80% of all caviar served as lumpfish is now our product in Denmark. And
Wow.
most people don't even know it. In the restaurants, not in the supermarkets, sadly, but in the restaurants, we are at that level.
Awesome.
And that's because it's more user friendly and cheaper as well.
Well, and you're doing a service because it's also healthier.
Yeah, I mean, it is healthier, but to be honest, the amount of caviar most people eat, then it's not that big of an impact. It's not like if you switch away from red meat, but it makes an impact. But I don't think that's our claim to fame, to be honest.
Right. I just mean that when you're eating that versus eating fish roe, that it is healthier.
I understand it, but it's people mostly use it as topping, so the amount of ounces that you eat is quite limited. So I don't think that's where you go for health if you're suffering for something.
And so you supply this worldwide? Are you open to worldwide market or just in Denmark?
We do most of around 70% of our sales is export. We do a lot of countries. A lot of countries we don't know we do, because we sell to producers that pack in glass and send all over the world. But we're also in Walmart in the US, so we're getting more and more widespread. But a small family companies like ours have limited resources and manpower, so we focus on Europe mainly. That's our main focus, but we have partners that focus elsewhere.
Okay, great. And then, so any other words that you want to tell us, our viewers, about your product, or just?
Yeah, we're it's not this product, but right now we're looking at actually replacing the roe you use for sushi, because actually the last 2 years, the main resource for that is capelin, a fish, and it has not been caught the last 2 years in Iceland because the amount of fish is depleting so rapidly. And so right now they're running out of roe, actually. So we have a big focus because that really big volumes that are being used. And I think we have a good product now. So we are attacking the sushi market now. And then we are actually working on making vegan alternatives for cancer patients. Normally that's milk-based and milk-based product that are protein enhanced. And to be honest, they're not really that good in design. So we have 2 PhD students working for us that are working on making this nutrition for malnutrition and cancer patients, and especially cancer kids. But it has a long road. But again, we want our products to make an impact, and there is a group there that doesn't have a good option.
Very interesting.
So something completely different. Sorry for going off-road.
That's okay. We can always use more products that are alternative to the cruelty that the industry puts forth when they're doing this, when they're using animals in their products. So kudos to you and your family for doing that. And I just want to say thank you very much for being on the show. And I wish
thank you for having me, Nancy.
And I wish you much success. I will have
Thank you.
information on your company on our social media. So that way, if anyone is interested in finding out more about Caviart, they can.
Yes, okay. They can. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Remember, like us on Facebook, check out our blog, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You don't want to miss an episode. Remember, if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. Live vegan.